right here. That should take us to the link. Let's see. I need to turn it up. Okay, we're going into the gates of Hades. You turn it up just a little more. So when I start talking, it's going to be. Anyway. So we're going up this hill, and there's water all around. Water came right out of the mouth of that cave. But then there was an earthquake a couple hundred years ago that kind of messed that all up.
That's the headwaters of the Jordan, too, isn't it?
Yes, it's the headwaters of the Jordan as well. And so here you have this thing, and you don't have to show it. I don't understand. This place has been around for thousands of years. So those are actually the steps that people would use to go up and worship this pan god. And pan god, the pan god, is where we get the word panic. It's where we get the idea of Satan being a goat, like a goat, half man, half goat. We want to worship Pan, the goat god. Just stop it. It's okay. I'll tell them about it. And so anyways, as you go up this, what they would do is they would go up this hill, and they would bring people, and they would literally like have sex with goats. Kind of disgusting kind of thing. It was a pagan sort of ritual. Yeah, just stop it, because it's just annoying me. Anyway. So what they would do is they would go there and they would have sex with these goats, and they would try to entice Pan to come out of the water and give them what they wanted, which was fertility. He was a fertility god. They wanted their crops to grow. They wanted their wives to get pregnant. All this, so they would do these weird things to entice this goat god, right? And so Jesus takes his disciples here. This is where they are. And then he says, who do the people say I am? Well, something they say you're one of the prophets. And then he says, well, who do you say I am? And he says, well, you're the Son of the living God. Why? Because in the niches in this place, there are, you'll kind of see them here. You get, oh, I'm sorry. I think I just turned it off. But in the side of this cliff, there are these little niches that are cut out. And in those, what you'll see in those is, if you would have been there at that time, you would have seen goat, like the pan god, in these little, like that little opening there, and there's one over there, and one right there, and they're down here, and they would have little ceramic goat gods, these pan gods, and they put them in there, and then inside here is where they kept the sacred goats, the actual living goats that they would, live, and so here's this awful, filthy, nasty place. And the gods in these niches are considered to be dead gods. And Peter says, you're the Son of the living God. Okay? So that's a huge statement. Right? In a pagan world where everybody thought their God was alive. And Peter's saying, there's no such thing. You're the Son of the living God. Yahweh is the living God, and you're his Son. You're the Messiah. The Christ. Okay? Now, looking through this passage, he talks about the gates of Hades, and I'm going to quickly go through this. But he says, the gates of Hades will not prevail against what we're going to do, what we're going to build, this kingdom. Right? The gates of Hades were this place inside down there, and if you could have watched the video, you'd see I'd take you there, but there's a pool right inside the mouth of that cave. That was considered a gate of Hades, a gateway to the underworld, right, in the pagan world. If you went down in that water, they believed you couldn't come back out. Now, by calling Peter the son of Jonah, what he's saying is, your dad, right, you're a child of the prophet Jonah, is kind of is what he's alluding to. He's saying, you're like Jonah. You've been down in death. And you've lived to tell about it. You've been reborn. Okay? You're the son of Jonah. You're the son of Jonah. You're like the one who's been in that place and made it out. Okay? So even the gates of Hades, this mythological Greek worship place, even that underworld place cannot stop what we're going to be doing. It can't keep you in there. See, the idea was that if you go in there, you can't come out. You can come out. You can come out of death. Hades was the place of death. It was the Greek equivalent of Sheol, which is the grave under the ground, where you go when you're dead and be buried. Right? But you're going to come out of that burial. Like Jonah. Jonah went into that underworld, into that place of death. So they thought of it as the abyss. Any water like that that's where evil spirits live. Right? And so, but you are not going to be stuck there. When you die, like Jonah, who went under, you're going to come out. Okay? So let's keep going. Okay, and then he says, Peter, a stone, you're Peter, you're a rock, and on this rock, we're going to build our church. What rock? What rock is he talking about? Well, where are they? At a pagan rock. Right? Where does Paul go to minister the gospel? The pagans. He goes not to the Jews. That's not what Paul's role is going to be. In fact, Peter and those disciples, he's saying, look, some Jews are going to become a part of this kingdom, but let me tell you what's really going to happen. The church is really going to be built on pagans. They're the ones that are really going to grab hold of this. Okay? All right, now one more kind of fun thing and then we'll be done. And that is this interesting thing here. The mark of the beast, this idea comes out of this passage here. We're going to read that right out of Revelation. And let's look at that in Revelation 14 and verse 1. 11. 14:11. And it says, as soon as I go to the right page, and the smoke, let's go up a little bit to 10. He too will drink the wine of God's fury, which has been poured full strength into the cup of his wrath. He will be tormented with burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment, let's go back to 9. A third angel followed them and said in a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and his image and receives his mark on the forehead or on the hand, he too will drink of the wine of God's fury. And that's we're going through that. And he says he will be tormented. He's talking about the people who take this mark, okay, whatever that mark is. And then he says, and the smoke of their torment rises forever and ever. There is no rest day or night for those who worship the beast and his image, or for anyone who receives the mark of his name. Now, in our day, we have a lot of marks, but again, let's be really careful that we don't turn their culture into ours. The first thing we have to do is, what are they talking about? Because they're talking about something. Right? They're not just, there's going to be a mark and people will tell you, what happened to me? I was dreaming. Right? It's not like, when John's writing this revelation, it's not that he's just like one of the old oracles that sits above the hole with the gas coming out of it, making them high, and then they just blabber. Right? There's a culture thing that's going on here. And he's talking about something specifically. Now, some argue that it could be one of the emperors like Nero. At this time when John's writing this, the biggest problem they had, the Jews had, was a guy named Domitian. Domitian was a pain. In fact, the Jews nicknamed him the Beast. All right? When you went to Ephesus, because Ephesus was a huge market, I mean, it was where the water was. It's where the ships came in. That's where the culture was created. All this kind of stuff. So if you went to Ephesus, you went there. Why? Because you had to shop. And you had to sell your stuff. And if you couldn't do that, you would starve.